final conclusions on the fun pack without a K. So first of all, Rice Krispies. I thought I enjoyed that. It was really quite comforting. It's got a very subtle flavor, very approachable texture. It isn't really sweetened at all. Like, I would like a bit more sweetness to the cereal. But yeah, it's got that very subtle grain flavor. All in all, I think it's very comforting, very mellow, unthreatening. It isn't particularly interesting. It isn't necessarily all that filling, doesn't seem hugely nutritious. It's just kind of unassuming. Corn Pops, I must admit, I was most impressed of all the cereals here with the Corn Pops. I was surprised by how much of a unique flavor there was to it. I think that really, in some ways, again, I come back to the fact that it's savory in the illusion around it. There is that popcorn, cornbread quality where I'm getting the sense that I am actually tasting something that is made of corn. So despite my aversion to, say, cornflakes or the corn industry in general, the fact that those elements are coming through and are recognizable make the Corn Pops kind of maybe a more approachable, more natural seeming product. Additionally, I think the texture of the Corn Pops it's quite varied. Because it has quite a bit of mass, it's like you have within each piece, there's a variety of different texture there. You've got the harder shell that quickly becomes kind of saturated, but then there's still this core in the center. All in all, I think that it had the most kind of character, actually, the most finesse as a product, which was interesting because I remembered Corn Pops being much kind of sweeter, much more off-putting in some ways. Fruit Loops, I think it's quite baffling what it is. It doesn't really make sense to me in terms of the conception of what cereal is, what they are going for with this flavor profile. I guess the very fact that they don't even spell it fruit, it's something different entirely. However, there is something very enjoyable and very distinct about it. It has become its own thing. Immediately I was brought back to the Fruit Loops flavor, the Fruit Loops smell. I would never want to buy a full box. This is the perfect size of Fruit Loops. And then Frosted Flakes, I'm actually surprised by how bad it is. In all honesty, there's no redeeming quality to it. The texture isn't good. The texture, in fact, was more off-putting than I remember it being, and I don't even think I can name another food that has, like, in terms of crunchy food, it's almost like the crumbs of chip, which aren't all that bad, but those are even smaller than this. It's like if you were forced to put too many potato chips in your mouth, and it became uncomfortable. It's actually, I was surprised by how off-putting it was. And it's too sweet. The only thing I would say about it is that it is probably better than cornflakes, because cornflakes are exceptionally boring. So in some ways, the only redeeming factor of it is the sweetness, which is over the top and has no character at all. So if I were to rank these, I'd say Corn Pops, number 1, Rice Krispies, number 2, Fruit Loops, number 3, and Frosted Flakes, number 4. If I am to give an overarching rating to the Fun Pack, I'd say that it's a solid 4 stars. 4 stars out of 5. The only thing that it lacks is a K. But stars don't have any sort of inherent value in the end. There's all sorts of different breeds of star. There's many stars in the sky. There's stars with different degrees of energy and provide people with different amounts of, or planets with different amounts of energy. So ultimately, this is a weaker star than this one. And this is probably the strongest of the stars, but you might not want to get too close because it's a corn pop star. But there you go, that was fun. It was a whole pack of fun. Kellogg's Fun Pack brings you back.